I just wanted to say that we were right about Robert. Team Liam. Hashtag King Liam. Guys, we're going to wrap up this season of The Royals, Season 3. We're going to cover episodes 9 and 10 tonight, right now.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AfterBuzz TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
This perfectly describes Robert.
I just wanted to send this out to our favorite king, Robert. What a womanizer.
He's terrible.
I mean, he's worse than I thought, I gotta say. Worse than I thought.
He is.
You know what I like about him being a villain? He's so hot.
Yeah, he is.
So hot. So it's a likable villain for me.
It lessens the blow a little.
It really does. I'm like, that old Cyrus, we need a new villain. And a handsome young one at that. Hey guys, oh my gosh, we're so sad to be wrapping up the Royals, but what an amazing season. Hi, it's Megan Stecher again this week, and I'm joined by my girls.
Hi, Fern Ronay here. You can find me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Snapchat at Fern Ronay.
And I'm Ally Nasta. You can find me on Twitter at Ally Nasta and on Instagram at Ally Girl.
So before we delve into kind of exactly what happened in these episodes, what were your reactions last night at the very end of the season finale?
I think I screamed, honestly. Like my roommate, I watched it at home, obviously, and my roommate was like, "Are you okay?" Because I was literally screaming, like yelling at the TV, yelling at Robert. Like it was intense for me. And then that season finale, I literally had this like large gasp, and then my jaw dropped. Basically.
Yeah, I bawled at the scene between Jasper and Eleanor, like hysterically crying.
You're the sweetest.
Hysterical. They're definitely together in real life because I just feel the love. But every other scene, it was like one after the other. It was like, shocked.
So you guys were in shock. I had this weird little smile on my face, and I was just watching very calmly, and I would have to keep pausing to take all my notes, and I was just like, I knew it. It was a very I knew I was right all along.
Even the whore comment, you're like, whore?
Oh, I was like, you know what was so funny is I was like, the worst thing he did out of all the horrible things Robert did, I'm like, oh, the worst was call her a commoner.
I just hated that little kiss on the cheek, like how snide of him. I'm just like, just leave, okay? But then again, I will say, we've talked about this, she should have told him from the beginning.
Yes.
She just wrapped herself up in that lie, and that's something she could never take back. So
Exactly.
So true. And I kind of thought all along she liked Liam
more anyway.
while she was seeing Liam. But then she allowed herself to fall for Robert when he came back. So it was all very twisted.
Very
Twisty.
Well, I have 4 pages of highlighted notes because I want to really try to get through both episodes. We're so sorry we weren't here last week. Due to circumstances beyond our control, we were unfairly bumped for another group of people covering the Grammys, I believe. We're back. Okay, so we do want to touch on 9 for everybody. I just highlighted some things out of these 2 pages of very small font that we should touch on. So in the beginning of last week's episode, Jasper tried to tell Liam the really not good news from Boone, and Liam says, bury it. So shocking that we do come full circle by the end of the episode, and he does want to know.
Yeah.
But he did want to keep things kind of surface level with Robert and kind of not go there. Liam's gone through such a formation. Like, he and Eleanor, right? This whole season have just completely transformed.
Totally. I mean, Eleanor, we're seeing her just like she's a woman. She's totally like, I'm self-aware. I know what's going to make me happy. I know it's not going to make me happy, which is really exciting to see because we saw her have a bunch of challenges. But Liam, on the other hand, he is confident in himself and he's going to make it happen, whatever that may be. Like, he is determined.
And I feel like he kept oscillating between, let me just try to be the good spare, to being like, this is wrong, and going back and forth. And now we're like on the upswing.
I know. It's so hard too because last episode we now know so much more. So I'm like, it's like so much easier. Like, you know what? Like, it's crazy. I might be jumping ahead, but like literally the fact that his dad was basically saying Liam is a better man, and this whole time he thought that Robert was. It just sucks that he's never gonna know that.
Yeah.
Makes me so sad.
I mean, unless Simon comes back from the dead.
Which who knows?
Totally possible. Totally possible.
Yes.
let's talk conspiracy theories in a little bit. Eleanor actually does see Jasper for the first time in the palace, and so she kind of chases after him. Is like, "Hey, I want to talk to you."
Yeah.
You know, we had some unfinished business here, Buster. But that she kind of just kisses away the whole thing. She's like, "I'm just so done with you. You've kind of just trampled all over my heart." And I really love that Rosie drew a gun on him. I thought he deserved it.
Rosie's a good friend. The friend she
is.
needed.
She's like the sister that she never had, and that kind of like love and family vibe, not just someone there to use her, which we've seen happen in the past.
Exactly.
But yeah, I mean, Jasper, we know the reason he didn't come out about this in the first place, but at the same time, he totally dug his own grave in order to try to protect her when he should have just been honest and told her in the first place. Because now he's, in this episode, reaping those repercussions for her being mad.
Right.
Which rightfully so. I mean, she spilled her heart out, and he was just like, no. We all were very emotional after that.
One of the things that, also, Jasper has stolen a file to protect Eleanor, but Mr. Hill is unfortunately being blamed in the middle of all of this. That does resolve itself, and in a weird way. So Jasper asks the Queen if she could stand up for Mr. Hill and have him not go to jail and have poor Sarah Alice go to an orphanage. And Jasper admits to the authorities, and they start cuffing him. And then all of a sudden, Robert breaks into the room. "Oh my God, uncuff this man. I'm going to be king. How dare you? I want the story to come out." So obviously, it's very sensitive information about Robert, and he's in on the fact that this file has been stolen. To me, how does he know the file had been stolen? You know, it's so wild. Maybe he was made aware by the authorities.
Probably, and I feel like he knows everything. I feel like he's the ultimate like evil character where he's just everywhere all the time.
Yeah, he's like watching over everybody. He's almost worse than Cyrus in his like crazy, creepy ways.
He's like an amazing spy.
Yeah,
he is, and I feel like he saved Jasper. It was the only good thing he did, but he obviously did it for reasons that are not, that are self-serving. So he could keep an eye on him. Who knows what else? But he did save the one really good guy on the show. Mr. Hill.
Oh, I love him.
Oh,
he's so
Sarah
sweet.
Alice.
And he's done so many great things for the family and like made sure they were protective, gave like Eleanor a father figure when she needed it most. And I don't know. I just feel like with this whole Jasper thing now, with Robert kind of dangling him over like everybody's head, like, okay, even though you're in love with my sister, taking him away from you. Oh, you used to be Liam's bodyguard, taking him away from you. Like, he's just totally trying to control any situation he can get his hands on.
Absolutely.
Exactly, yes.
I thought it was really neat the way that they cut this episode and filmed it, in that we got to see each character's arguments for and against Cyrus or Robert being king, or taking the crown away from Cyrus, I guess we should say. I just thought it was so neat, everyone's approach to it. So kind of Helena was very like, oh, he's an awful beast, and like, let's not let, it was more about Simon's killer being vilified. Cyrus kind of was trying to lean on, well, the precedent is that we wouldn't take the crown off of a sitting king for no reason, really. And then Eleanor was my favorite when she jumped in and listed all the horrible things Cyrus did. So in case you needed to be reminded how awful Cyrus is, this was like my favorite part. Oh my God, where is it? I have so many notes. It was driving his car drunk through Simon's monument. The mohawk, even his hair is enough for her to want him to not be king. And also knighting a prostitute in his chamber. So I just thought it was like a fun comedy moment in a pretty serious, tense episode. And then a lovely moment for Eleanor when she says yes to wanting to go away with Sebastian for 6 months to design his family's boutique hotels that need a little refresh. So I was excited for that for her, but it feels like, I don't know if she'll ever go now, that by the end of episode 10 that Jasper's kind of trying to patch things up.
I feel like they'll probably do it where, it's probably not going to come back until November, so that'll be the 6 months that she was away.
Good one.
Right?
Yeah. So did you
Yeah.
guys watch The Royal Hangover last night?
Yeah.
Because I know they kind of discussed that, and they were, it was really fun to watch this episode because it was almost the entire cast, and they were asking Mark all the questions like, what's going to happen to our characters? Like desperate to know. So it's so fun to know that they are just as tense as we are, like trying to know what's going to come in every episode, and like it seems like Jake Mescal, who plays Cyrus, is even like upset that he lost being king as just an actor. As just an actor. So it's so fun to see how much they relate to their character, and they're like hoping he don't get killed off, and they're like, can you tell us what's going to happen, And I think they took a fan question where they asked like, will we be picking up from where we were, or is there going to be a time jump?
Yeah.
And Mark kind of just played coy and said, well, we could do this or we could do that. So we don't know. Yeah, they could.
I
They
don't know.
totally.
That's my
So Fern's prediction, first
Write
prediction
it
of the
down.
night. Love it.
And they mentioned that I didn't even realize that Joan Collins wasn't back this year,
Yes.
because they were talking about characters who, when he over compliments them, they're like, "Oh, I'm getting cut."
Yes. So even the wonderful Joan
The Grand
Collins,
Duchess, we didn't see her this year.
he
She was
complimented her so much because she had a very long, hard filming day when she did join them last season, and she said, "Well, I guess I'm dead next," or something to that effect.
killing me off.
Yeah.
Well, just really quick too about the whole like Cyrus. I don't know all of it, but they're just like each of them are so great at like making these characters so lifelike to me. So it is kind of cool to hear that they don't really know what's gonna happen next, because I'm sure they're like figuring out like what would their character think. Like it's just so crazy.
Yeah.
That's true. He did compliment them in the end of The Hangover, saying like, when an actor takes a movie role, they know the beginning, middle, and end, and you guys only knew the beginning,
Yeah.
or not even really the beginning, I guess, when you sign on. You know what this, treatment is. You don't have even the first episode script.
Yeah.
He's like, so thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for being on this wild journey. I loved this season.
I know,
loved
it
it
was
too.
so good.
I loved
was
last
so good.
season and the whole like domino reveal and
Yeah.
who killed. Like that was great. I just felt like this season was a constant like going up a hill to me, and we really just like hit the peak last night. And then when it was over, I was like, damn, no, I wanted to keep going.
Yes.
So I thought it was
description.
really great the way they wrote it this year.
It was amazing to me. I feel like each episode was better than the last, like you said, going uphill. And seriously, nothing can take away the emotions I felt while watching the season finale. Like I don't think I've ever made that much like reaction as if I was watching like a football game. Like I was literally like, no, what? Huh? Like literally freaking out. But
I knew he was a bad dude. I didn't know how bad though. Okay.
Yeah.
I just didn't know we were gonna get that many answers.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
True.
So satisfying.
I think
Yes.
that's why I was so shocked, because every time like all the predictions and like assumptions that we were thinking were gonna happen kind of like came true. So I was like, they answered that, they answered that, they answered this. So it was really cool.
Thank you, God, Mark Schwann, for tying up all our loose ends, because you know how we always want to know.
Yeah.
Robert's argument was so good when he made his case for himself that Cyrus and Mr. I'm going to say it wrong, Mr. Westcott, I believe, who was kind of the head of the Privy Council, they looked at each other with a knowing glance like, this is not good, because it was such an amazing speech. So they do make Robert king. We do hear Big Ben chime.
I thought they were going to make us wait for the next week. I was like, oh, thank God.
Oh, God. Didn't you think that scene was so intense, showing everyone waiting? I was like, this is amazing.
Did you guys think that they were gonna like make him king? I for like a split second before it ticked 12, I was like, they're gonna keep Cyrus as king. Like I kind of thought that was gonna happen.
Yeah.
I thought it could go dastardly either way. I'm like, look, it's going to be plenty of terrible drama if Cyrus stays king, because they're still going to be battling. It's, they're so much stronger now that Robert's back. It's kind of like everyone against Cyrus. I was like, so they can keep battling him in a way and making his life miserable within the palace, or Robert's going to become king and it's miserable because Cyrus is still there skulking around. Either way, it was tense.
So tense.
Liam and Cyrus kind of had a talk, and Liam quotes that back to Robert, and Robert's like, I had to be at my worst to take the crown. So it's definitely shades of what we end up seeing, I think, in this last episode, with him starting to lose it and just really wanting to be king so bad. But he does become king. he goes over to Catherine's apartment, and she says, "I love you" to him. He doesn't say it back, and he immediately like flips her on the bed and is like, "Why don't you have sex with the future king?" or whatever he said to her. Which is sad now, knowing what went on.
It's just kind of gross because he was just totally taking advantage of the situation rather than coming out to her. He was like just using her to embarrass her, which was just, it's like sickening to think that he would do something like that to someone that clearly did have emotions. And Liam even brought up, I think it was this episode where he was like, I was there for her when she needed me. Like, I was there for her through a really hard time. Like, rightfully so. Although the lying doesn't help the situation. But being a man and a future king, he could have gone about that in such a different way.
In such a different way. The minute he saw them, he could be like, I know about you.
Yeah.
And I'm hurt. And, you know, he could still be angry with them. That's perfectly normal emotion. But to be so diabolical about it, to lead her on and lead him on and
now it's like all just like even more part of his crazy scheme that he's got going. He's just like, oh, I'll use these puzzle pieces in order to like fit, his pawns. It's like kind of a creepy little kid when he was talking about those stuff.
He was a creepy little kid, like a serial murderer, like. There was a weird scene where Cyrus confronts Westcott, the head of the Privy Council, and kind of just like trying to physically throw him around and threaten his life. And then he said, "Do you think it's over for me?" Kind of like, "It ain't over, honey.
Yeah.
Not getting rid of me." So I thought that scene was a little strange in that for the rest of this episode and then last night's episode, that we saw him in such a suicidal state. So I thought it was weird that he was like, "Oh, you think it's over for me?" Kind of like, I'm still going to be gunning for this crown, or I'm still going to be diabolical. And it was weird that I wasn't sure what like this scene was supposed to point out. It felt out of place to me.
Maybe he didn't want to show his weakness to this guy who
he
thought
manipulated.
He could manipulate, and he couldn't. I
think that's one of Cyrus's huge weaknesses that we've seen in like all of the things that he usually like. If he doesn't like someone, he just like kills them or poisons them or does whatever. So I think in this situation, he had really no control to change it. So he just thought he would use his words to like freak him out almost. But really, he knows it's over for him inside. So that was just like his way to get his aggression out and to like frighten him and threaten him. Because other than that, there's nothing he can do. And now that Robert's king, he really doesn't know what control he's gonna have, and I don't think he realized, like, he's probably like, crap, I don't even know if I'm gonna be in like the palace anymore. So I think that was his way to let out his aggression, but just like in a way that's more Cyrus-y and like, I don't even know, but I'm just gonna say these words anyways. So I think that was how it, like, to me, that's how I interpreted that situation. It was just like out of pure anger.
Me too, because you're right, it's inconsistent with being in complete despair. Like, he goes from having total confidence to be wanting to kill himself.
Interesting. Jasper comes to Eleanor's room and tries to explain, hey, I got fired today for this whole stealing of a file mess, and she doesn't really want to hear it. She cuts him off, and she's kind of giving him you need to leave kind of a speech, kind of like, I can't take this anymore. My poor heart is too beaten and battered. And he doesn't walk away because he doesn't want to, so she does. And it was very symbolic. She was like, I'm gonna leave, and she symbolically walked away from him.
Like she's leaving for 6 months.
Right. Yeah. Right. Which doesn't last long, as we know from last night's episode.
With the whole Jasper thing, I know we've said it like 100 times, but I just hate that he didn't just sit there and be like, listen, this is why I stole the file. This is what I did it for. This is why I left. Because in the beginning, we've seen them have such an open relationship or an open friendship when she was trying to find out who actually killed her dad. Like, she even knows the man, Boone, right? Yeah. She like, even knows him, so I just find it really strange that this is the one thing that they haven't really figured out how to really like articulate and talk about, considering that's one of the reasons they like broke up. So that's what, like, whenever I see Jasper, I'm just like, say something.
It's so exactly, it's so frustrating because he knows why she's suffering, because he knows what she doesn't know. So tell her, and it'll all be cleared up.
That's always been the issue with all their scenes, right? Like, he's never saying what's really going on or what's really on his mind or what's really on his heart. Like, interesting.
He needs someone like Sarah Alice to facilitate this to happen.
So that is his major character flaw. I think we have just landed on. And to end the episode, Jasper meets Liam in the tunnel, secret tunnels under the palace, and wants to know what Boone had said about Robert. He's ready. He's seen the bad side of Robert after giving him the benefit of the doubt, and he's over it. Over it.
Isn't everybody? He's the only one in on this situation, though, which is crazy to me.
True.
He's the only one that sees anything wrong.
It was pretty cool tonight how he was trying to let people know. He tried to lend down his twin, who they have always been so close, and he tried to talk to his mom, and that, talking to mom did not go well.
Oh, that was a dagger to the heart.
That was a disaster.
Yeah. She was mean again.
So mean.
Yeah.
Ugh, Helena, we had such a good couple of...
I know.
We had about 10 good episodes, 9.5 good episodes.
She was
out of her.
redeeming herself.
She was.
She really was. Well, okay, to start off this episode, kind of the thread that carries us through past and present is Robert's hourglass. So back from his first or second episode of this season, we finally know what that hourglass was about because he wanted it out of storage.
Yes.
So he must have been his whole life just so focused on this hourglass and what his conversations with his father meant to him.
I feel like, to me, the hourglass stands as like the time he's going to be king. So I think he just stares at that, like waiting for that moment to happen. And so that conversation that we saw with him and like the hourglass and everything, it was kind of like that hourglass stops. Right. Because he's never gonna be king, and now in this way he can like flip it over, and then like he has like hope of being king again.
Yeah,
I don't know. That's what I thought. But
and it is like a reminder of all of the games of chess and all of the conversations he's had with his father, and then the final conversation being told you can't be king.
Can't be king.
And then he's in control of it.
Yeah, so and he can flip it over and restart it.
Yes.
And to me, it also symbolized his father teaching him to play chess and how he plays chess with all of the people around him even better than Helena does.
Yeah.
So it symbolized that to me as well.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that whole chess like scenario was really crazy to see how like, because he used to say he played chess with his dad and he figured it all out, but it's crazy to see how Simon was so much like Liam in this situation, and we've already known that, but then seeing this and how he's talking about the prawns and like they're just like it doesn't matter, and it was just crazy to see that and just kind of like see how he was as a child.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
I love a flashback.
I know.
That's why I love This Is Awesome. Like, it really fills in.
Yeah. Oh, yes. Even on The Housewives or any of our favorite reality shows, like, there's always a good flashback to remind you of something, and you're like, oh, thank God they showed that.
Yeah.
It's true.
So Catherine has not heard from Robert since the Privy Council. And Spencer calls, we're kind of getting filled in the beginning on a lot of really recent happenings. So Catherine was doing yoga with her sister and letting her sister know, like, I haven't heard from Robert and I haven't been invited to the coronation. Angie's very upset. She thought that for sure they were going to have a front row seat up on that balcony for the coronation. And then Spencer, our dear Lord Chamberlain, runs in to tell Helena that her new boyfriend Jack's plane has gone down. So as much as Helena tries to play it off through the episode, it actually deeply affected her.
Definitely.
She has like a lovely talk with Len where she's like, Mom, let's not let this go too easy because you could have been on that plane. You know, she did choose not to go.
Right.
But then she kind of mourns Jack by riding on the river that they had, you know, that river tour. I don't know.
They did a river
lovely
cruise.
little boat ride. Yeah.
Yeah.
3 hour tour. They just sort of, she was on the same boat in the same place and wearing black and mourning that. And I feel
like she probably felt like things are finally good. Like, the one who was supposed to be king is king. My kids don't hate me anymore.
Yeah.
We know they're legitimate. Things are finally going well. I meet this, like, rich, cool guy. Like, you know, like, again, things just can't go well for anyone.
Well, I
in
just
the
feel
show.
like this just screams Robert, too. Because every time,
Oh,
like...
completely.
Yeah, like, okay, so you thought your mom was going to be on that, and you want definitely everything to be all yours. I don't know if he would go that far, but it kind of played around in my mind. Like, would he do something that intense, or do something where he even knows his mom not going to be on that plane? Because at first you would go, maybe it's more so like she was gonna leave on her own, but now that she's not gonna leave, he's like, okay, well, I'm gonna make you suffer, kind of thing. I don't really know how that plays into it, but just something wherever Robert has a play, I think he was doing it on purpose. Just like he got rid of Spencer so easily.
Right,
Lord Chamberlain.
exactly.
Like,
he's such a control freak
Yeah.
that he, his mother, the Queen of England, can't end up with an American. Like that would not be good. That would not be cool with Robert, so he had to take care of that.
Yeah.
He saw how Spencer spoke to her, and he was like, oh, they're too close. He took care of that. He controls everything. I watched the show twice, and when Spencer lets her know about Jack, Robert's face.
Yeah, because they
face.
hug and like, where they grab hands or something.
Yeah.
And that when that moment
Yeah.
is happening, Robert's like, this cannot happen kind of face. Like,
And
no.
he looked at his mother in a weird way.
Yeah.
So he's upset about Spencer, plans to get rid of him, and I think he was behind Jack.
I think so too.
So he has a weird thing with the help, obviously. So he got rid of, by the end of the episode, he got rid of Spencer, the Lord Chamberlain, which kind of throws Helena into like she's kind of aghast.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God, he's pretty nutso. Maybe Liam was right.
You could see it in her face. Good acting.
Yeah.
Elizabeth.
And what's crazy too is that she is now realizing she's no longer in control of the situation. And she's taught him to be how he is. And now I think she's kind of like, I created this.
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
She created a monster.
Right.
Yeah.
Also, when Liam goes to the desert island, based on the facts, I guess, from this file, is trying to investigate what went on while Robert was crashed there, comes back and yells at Robert. He's like, you were lying. You could have gotten on that boat multiple times. And Robert's like, you don't know how it was. No, I couldn't have. He's very defensive. And then they start fighting over Simon's death and whose fault it is, which happens a lot this episode, actually. Because Liam and Helena end up blaming each other, or Liam blames Helena for cheating on the king and saying he was out at night walking around because he was being cheated on for 30 years. But they are kind of having a huge fight, and
He takes a
Robert-
swipe at the help again.
he does. He said, you know what, Dad died because you were fondling the help. So his big thing is, I mean, Mark Schwann mentioned it last night too, saying like he's so all about appearances and what's proper family decorum that he's always trying to get rid of anybody messing around with the help. So he did try to get rid of Jasper.
Yeah.
He got rid of Spencer. Let's see who else.
Jack is an American, so he had to go.
Yeah, poor Jack. I mean,
Yeah.
well, the thing is, we actually don't know 100% if Robert did
we don't
send
know.
Jack's plane down.
Right.
But he probably has the technology because he
I'm
probably
sure.
sent his
Own
own plane
Yeah,
down.
he's behind
Yes.
everything.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
everything
Yeah.
that we've like not known any answers to, it was Robert.
I mean, maybe Helena's face after Robert was like, I am the king of England, I can do whatever I want, over firing Spencer. Maybe she was like, maybe it was him that sent Jack's plane down, because she confronted Cyrus about it,
Yes.
and Cyrus was like, it wasn't me.
Yeah. Just like, leave me alone at this point.
So maybe in her mind she's like, oh my God, maybe it was Robert.
Right. Yes.
I think she definitely probably has some sort of connotation to thinking that, considering what he's done so far. And this is kind of a little off of it, but it's we have talked about how Robert and Helena have this like really kind of strange relationship where they both know so much about each other, which he had mentioned to her, I'm going to see Catherine, or I've seen Catherine or something. So I find it like I was trying to like pull the pieces together for that. Like, why would she need to know about Catherine?
But he did make her public.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
right. Duh.
No, I did
Sorry.
the same thing.
Yeah.
Because I had a question. Like, did he? Wait, just to go
Yeah.
back really quickly.
Yeah.
These are my open questions. Did he have the hourglass on the island?
No, when he got
didn't.
back,
He
his mom was like,
specifically
we're
went to go
bringing all of
find
it.
it.
Yeah, he's like, I'm so sorry, we're bringing all of your stuff out of storage. It'll take a day or so. And he's like, no rush. I really only wanted one thing out of my stuff anyway. And that ended up being the hourglass.
Okay. And then why did Liam bring back his helmet? Just to be like, I was on the right island. I know what island you were on?
I think it was when he had scratched out
Yeah.
the HRH on his helmet before he ever like signaled for the boat to rescue him.
Okay.
I I'm wondering if that meant like I'm going home to become king, so let's get rid of His Royal Highness as my title.
Oh, okay. Or he didn't.
That,
want
or
them
he
to
just,
know
or
who he
that
was.
he just like threw the helmet down as proof. Like I was there. I went and checked. I went and checked out your little crime scene.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And maybe he scratched out the HRH because this was my theory last week, was that he probably had himself shot down so he could just go live like a private person and like change his identity and not like, you know, want to be royal and have like the pressure.
Right.
But now, obviously, I feel differently. He wants nothing
Yeah.
more than to be a royal. He wants nothing more than to be king.
Well, I think that he also, like, he shot his own plane down because he just wanted to buy time because he obviously set up the killing of his dad. So he was waiting for the perfect timing. And so that's why he didn't want anybody to find him right away in order to, like, he probably had everything planned out to a T. And so he was just trying to, like, capture, I don't know, timing and whatever he was on the island.
Right.
So, like, he probably scratched out. So then if someone were to see that from, I don't know what they were, because they kept circling the island or something, that just to not let them rescue him as fast. I don't know. So that still doesn't make it clear,
right?
Yeah.
But when he came back, so if it all worked out that way, he's like, I'm on the island. My father's being killed by Ted right now. He probably arranged for Ted to get paid somehow, but then Ted gets killed. So the shock when he came back wasn't that his father died. The shock was probably that Ted's dead.
Yeah.
Oh.
That's true. And if you look at the watch, remember, he, like, watched the tapes back again and again and again. And it was like, he wasn't watching it as in, like, Liam was like, oh my gosh, this is terrible. I want to find and, like get vengeance on who did this to my dad. It was more like, that's how it happened. Okay. Is he really dead? Okay. Like, he was, like, reviewing it to make sure he did it the way that he explained it or something.
Yeah.
Remember we thought that the video looked so funny? Like it didn't look legit.
It looked a little fake.
Right. So I'm
fake.
wondering if it was almost like, oh my God, what's the name of the man that supposedly killed him? That's
Ted
dead.
Price.
Ted Price. I'm wondering if I'm so sorry, I'm bad with the names today. I'm wondering if Ted Price told Simon about it and was like,
faked
you know
it.
what, let's fake this.
I think so.
No,
but then
wrong,
he
because
was-
he stumbled home.
Yeah, and he was suffering and
Yeah.
died in his bed.
Yeah, I've thought that before too, but it does kind of ruin it when
I wonder
you know
if
that.
they were like faking it when that video was taken, but then like
Simon killed
like
himself.
Simon did it to himself or something. I don't know.
I don't know. I have a feeling that there is a way that if they wanted to write that back into the story, they could easily explain it, and like there could have been like some weird body double that was switched out, like blah blah blah, like something sketchy. Because I definitely agree with you. I think that could be like
A loophole that they could open back up. Yeah. Love it. Oh my gosh, what else happened? Okay. Cyrus and Robert kind of have a confrontation about Robert measuring like the king's private bedroom. So Cyrus doesn't want to leave that bedroom. Obviously, it's his lair. But he kind of says, if you don't keep your bullshit in place, you're out of the palace. So he's debating letting Cyrus stay in the palace, which is probably not a great idea. But it probably may be worse if he kicks him out.
Yeah, I feel like if anything, he wants to keep him close. Like he's keeping
Yeah.
everybody close. Like
Keep
he
your
knows
enemies close,
that
yeah.
Jasper is in the way of bad because he could turn on him. So he's keeping everybody at an arm's length, just like his mom. Depending on if he like crashed that plane, he knew that she would leave. Maybe he's keeping her at an arm's length. I don't.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Oy vey. Liam's so upset about Robert and is kind of like, okay, we have just elected a maniacal crazy person. We have got to get a hold of this. So Liam tries to sit down Eleanor and be like, can't you see what's going on here? And she's like, no, you're crazy. You're lusting after the crown. This was all going to be his. We were always the spares. And she said he's acting like Cyrus. That must have broke his heart.
That was cruel.
I hate that because it's like Liam's really passionate and throwing out his heart in the situation, and it's just kind of coming back to him. Like, you know, it's like sometimes they say like the good guy never. It's like, what is it? The good guy never
Finishes last.
Yeah, they finish his last, and that's kind of what's happening here.
Yeah.
Is that Liam's being so good and trying to really like see what's best for the crown, and no one else is seeing that. They're just like, whatever, at least it's in the family now, let's just like keep it on going. And he's just like, no, we need to figure out what's right. And no one else is believing him. And I just think it sucks that Liam's continuously being put down for whatever he thinks or feels, or like the one time he falls in love, like it never works out for him. Like,
and his mother was so dismissive, like, she said, get over it. You're not gonna be king, get over it. And you're right, he's like, he doesn't want to be king for the power. He's like, sees what's happening, and it's like, this isn't what's good.
He's trying to protect his country. He's trying to protect everybody. And like, even the ones he loves, because he doesn't know what they're going to do to him next.
Right.
And if he can go so maniacally about possibly like killing his father, like, what else could he do? What else is he capable of?
So the secret that Boone had was that Robert stayed on the island?
I'm wondering if the secret is like Robert having himself shot down or something.
I think so.
I wonder if Liam even saw these files. Did he see these
I
files?
don't
Is that
know.
definitive?
They didn't make it clear what
Right.
the big secret was.
Right.
Yeah, because the last time they heard, Jasper said that they knew that the call came from inside the palace.
Yeah.
So I think that was maybe that file that Ted Price had. Like, I made the call, and then Robert is like in the know. I don't know. Because, I mean, what kind of files would be in the palace that would be so basically, like, explaining the plane getting shot down?
I think that file said, like, the call came from within the palace, and it was evil Ted Price. And Robert's like, I don't mind that being in the press, you know, when he saved Jasper. I don't mind that being in the press. But then the other, like, what's not in the file, that the additional information that Boone had, I think is either that Robert chose to stay on the island, which I don't think is that scandalous.
Yeah.
Or that Robert had himself shot down.
Right.
Which they didn't articulate.
Very unclear.
Very unclear.
To be unpacked at a later time. Couple of more dastardly deeds going on with Robert, and we're only about halfway through the episode here. He's having Simon's portrait taken down, which, looking back at all the flashbacks of what the conversations between Simon and Robert, and how he ultimately told him, I'm going to disband the monarchy because you are not good enough to be king. Ooh, how horrible. Eleanor asks Robert, why did he set her up with Sebastian? So that was another thing that happened was Sebastian was like, oh, hey, you know, Robert said we would get on very well. So now she's like, oh, why didn't you tell me you were trying to set me up with him? I kind of just thought we were casual friends all along, and now I'm looking at it in a different light. And then also he catches his mother and Spencer hugging very closely over her emotions about Jack's death. So we kind of are just seeing like all these different puzzle pieces of stuff he's about to move around. His pawns.
Yeah.
He's going to start moving around.
So I have two things to say really quick.
Yes.
One is that I knew Spencer was placed there awkwardly for some reason, because he's so, like, the way that he was introduced to Len, it was so, like, kind of forced. Like,
Sebastian.
Oh, sorry, Spencer.
I know,
Sebastian.
it's too many names.
Sorry, Sebastian. But I was so, like, I knew something was weird and iffy about it. So I was kind of like, okay, something's up here.
Yeah,
But
totally.
also, this is another thing for Robert to be super controlling, because he can control who she falls in love with, which is so crazy.
Well, he had to get rid of the help, and he had to replace it with someone else who is, in his mind, worthy of his sister from another royal family.
And then with Spencer, I did think he was getting a little handsy, which in this situation, when he got handsy with the queen kind of being like, I'm sorry, like, giving her comfort, I kind of thought, was it Spencer that, like, made the plane go down? But, like, that's a little... But then I was like, maybe that's too intense because of all the things that were unraveled throughout this episode that showed Robert was the key factor. But that was kind of in my head as the show was going on. I was like, was it him?
That's a good thought.
Interesting.
Well,
anything's possible.
Well, then we have a fabulous breakthrough for Eleanor and Jasper.
Yes.
Sarah. Thank you,
I
Sarah
was like, you
Alice.
are the voice of reason. Thank you.
Our sweet little princess, Sarah Alice. She goes and breaks into Jasper's private secret room through the closet and brings the storybook that he never gave Eleanor to her. Did you guys love so much how they had her dressed like Cinderella?
Oh my gosh.
I mean, the blue dress with the sparkles and the glass slippers and the tiara.
Seriously, like, she is gorgeous. Adorable. When she spun around, I was like, she's a real life princess right now. Like, I just was like, she was stunning.
I think that was like a really it was such a physical showing of the kind of progress she's made and that she's kind of turned into a really lovely young woman.
Yeah.
Kind of finally growing up and being more mature and cleaned up. And
it wasn't like a black leather.
Right. Which she kind of was wearing something a little crazy before she changed into that. So it was like a nice...
But it is like a good balance that she's capable of being like the mature leader.
Yeah.
She cries over it. She reads it, and she cries, and it's really, really sweet. But Liam talks to Robert about being good to Catherine. So this is crazy. He goes to Catherine's because he thinks she's texted him. It's actually his sister, Angie. And then Catherine's like, yeah, no, I haven't seen or heard from your brother since the Privy Council night. And Liam's like, I'll talk to Robert for you. And he does. So after they've already minced words earlier, he's like, hey, man, don't do our girl like that.
Yeah.
Like, be cool.
And Catherine was like, why would you do that?
Yeah.
He's like, I would do anything for you. You chose the wrong brother.
I literally
Royal.
wrote that. I was like, I said, Catherine for sure made the wrong decision.
Yeah.
Literally, she made the wrong choice, wrong brother.
I mean, she was really actually trying to make the right choice, though. Remember all those times she told Liam, like, we can't.
Yeah, to be fair to her.
But honestly,
she did have reservations.
But her reservations were because she felt guilty. But she wasn't going with her heart. Had she gone with her heart, she would have chose Liam like forever ago. But I think that she just was so. But that's another thing is like, but you were trying to decide, but yet you didn't even tell him the truth. So you gave yourself like you already started from like a negative. You know what I mean? Like you already dug yourself a hole and you didn't let yourself get out of it.
Right.
And
True.
you can't have a foundation of a relationship set off of lies.
Right.
Like,
she screwed herself with both brothers.
She did.
Yeah.
Like, completely. Because literally, we've said this, and all she had to do is when Robert came back, say, sorry, your brother was giving me comfort in a time of grievance, and I have fallen for him. I'm sorry. We never got that full connection because you wouldn't let it happen, so I fell for your brother. Yeah. I mean, it's awkward, and it's terrible, but, like, hey...
We thought you were dead.
Yeah. Sorry.
I'm wondering if when we see the kind of flash, when Liam and he at the end kind of have a physical, like, face-to-face, right before they're about to walk out on the balcony, and he was like, you know what, you did this. And Robert's like, no, you did this. And then we see a flash of all of this stuff with Catherine. And he also explained to Catherine, like, I came back for you.
Yeah.
And it's going to be really hard leaving you. Or really hard, this is the last time ever seeing you. So I'm almost wondering if, like, he really did come back because of Catherine. Like, maybe he didn't have Simon killed, and maybe he did just want to get out of here.
Right.
And maybe he did really come back for Catherine. But the moment he saw that Liam and Catherine were hooking up, that he was like, that's when the dastardly plan started happening.
That could actually be
make
true
sense
because Simon said when they were playing chess, he was like, he said something in particular about his personality, and he said that's going to be the death of you one day.
Yes, yeah.
And so,
Hubris,
So maybe that's kind of, this was like the straw that broke the camel's back. Like he was just like couldn't go on further, so had to start making everything crazy.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy because Robert, now you can say he's the one that's jealous of Liam, even though everyone's framing it as Liam is jealous of Robert.
Yeah. And it's clear because his dad physically said to him, Liam has a better heart, is a better man than you, you'll never make for a good king.
Gosh, that's crazy.
Oh, God. So then he's like, oh, my God, friggin' the sparrow is better than me in my father's eyes. And then he comes back and Sparrow's got the girl, he's got the crown. He's like,
oh, true.
I hate this kid.
That makes so much sense now, actually.
True.
But also, I think he did really love Catherine because when he saw them kissing, he was in his, like, scruffy
he looked
castaway.
distraught.
So, like, she was the first person he went to go see.
Yes, right, exactly. Right before he went back to the palace.
So he really did. Yeah, you're right.
I mean, it's a possibility. It's a possibility.
I think so. Now that we're talking about, like, I'm wondering if that's more of a possibility than him like shooting his plane down. Like that kind of seems more realistic.
I don't know.
The like maniacal plan of like.
So either Robert was evil before, or he became evil once he saw the kiss.
I think I'm leaning more towards that now.
You are?
Now that we've talked about this, that
Giving
makes
him
more
a little
sense.
credit.
I think he was evil since birth because when I saw him playing chess as a little kid, I'm like, this kid's creepy.
He was a scary, creepy kid for sure. Ugh, the playing in the rain by himself, like, what the heck?
It's a weirdo.
He's a scary kid. He's like some real Pet Cemetery, crazy, creepy behavior. Anyway, Willow is handed an updated list of potential brides, which we come to find out Robert put Willow at the top of the list after he scratched out Catherine's name.
I can't believe Catherine was ever even on the list.
I can't either.
Because if he knew that she was with Liam, she should have never been on the list.
Yeah.
Maybe it was for appearance sake or something.
Yeah.
So
Because she was third. She
right.
wasn't even
Well, and
number one.
it was also like he was going to see her and everything and dating her kind of privately, but being pictured publicly, and so maybe she had to be on the list because the queen knew who was on the list too.
Yeah.
So maybe she had to be on the list while he was trying to like diabolically mind screw her.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Possibly.
Which, I mean, Willow is totally mad at Liam right now, so I could see her totally going along with this plan.
Yeah.
Oh,
and
yes.
I thought her and Robert had such chemistry at the
Yeah.
gala.
Yeah.
I was like, they would be
Me
perfect
too.
together.
Yeah.
And if he's putting her on the list to get back at Liam, that's stupid because Liam doesn't like Willow. He
I
could
know.
care less.
Didn't Liam always see her as just a friend,
Yeah.
and she was mad about it?
I think,
Liam's probably like, go ahead.
yeah.
Well,
no, go ahead.
maybe it's just using Willow as a pawn
Yeah.
to get her all like loopy in love with him, with Robert,
The one who started King
right?
Liam.
And somehow turn her against Liam.
Probably.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense.
Oh my gosh, crazy. All right. What else? Oh, Jasper. Okay, here we go. Here's the big breakthrough.
I'm like ready for
so
this.
okay. So
This is when I started getting really
I
loud
want
at
this
the TV.
stated. Mark Schwann said this was the longest scene they have ever filmed. Like the longest they've ever had two characters speaking to each other. Goodness. All right. So I'm glad to know that because the show does, we always talk about how fast it moves. So it's good to know that like just a couple minutes scene was like the longest scene ever. So Jasper comes to see Eleanor. She's like, oh my God, hey idiot. Why didn't you ever give me this book? You said you got me nothing.
Yeah.
And he and her kind of have their back and forth, and then he just launches into his like, I love you and I want to love you till the end of time, and then cue Fern's crying. But he said happily ever after is real. And we also come to find out that Jasper never got the love letter from Eleanor, so he didn't know that whole time that she had said I love you. But she still wants to go with Sebastian on this trip. And he says, don't leave me behind, but I'm going to love you no matter what.
He said, if you leave, don't leave us.
Yeah.
If I'm here, I'll go with you. Don't leave us. And he was like, you're my princess.
It was just like, I literally was just watching it and all like, oh my gosh, this is true love.
I know. I feel the love.
But honestly, I think the only thing that I can be not more pissed about Robert this entire episode was that he stole that letter.
Yes.
It's like, Robert stole the letter.
know.
This is terrible.
And earlier in the episode, Lenny's saying to him, like, I wrote him this letter, and he's like, maybe he didn't get it. Like,
Yeah, I was really mad about that because
Yeah.
she was opening up and being as vulnerable as she's ever been, and then her brother just takes it away from her
ruins it for her.
ruins it, and then places he's like, I'm gonna take out this pawn and then I'm gonna put in another one. There you go, have fun.
I think she is going to go away, and I think it will be a time jump, and I can't wait for her to figure out that Robert was behind this.
And we got our answer. Robert was the one that called the like I was like
Jasper's
Oh my
father.
God, yeah. So in summary, Robert's a terrible, horrible person. He stole Jasper's letter and called Jasper's father to start all that trouble. He fired Spencer, the Lord Chamberlain. He dumped Catherine and called her a whore and a commoner. He set up Eleanor with Sebastian. He possibly had his father killed while Liam was hooking up with the help. And he put Willow at the top of the list to hurt Liam, probably is why we can see that. Well, wow. So, and then Liam goes to visit Cyrus, like, dude, I need your help.
Oh my God.
And the crazy part is you could see Cyrus pointing a gun at Liam as Liam's closing the door.
Yes.
I don't think he's going to shoot Liam as a prediction. No. Oh my God.
Because I mean, you can't kill off Liam. The
No,
drama's
no.
just getting started.
And
know.
Cyrus is just like a sick, like little twisted. He'll just be like, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
But because you saw the hope in Cyrus, like you know,
Yes.
the opposite of despair is hope,
Right.
and you saw him go from one extreme to the other.
That's so him.
Yeah,
Yes.
this totally just like popped in my mind. I could be completely crazy by saying this, but what if, you know how he said, I need to talk to you, like we need to talk about things, and then he came back and then came into the room. So maybe they're gonna like plan a fake death of Liam, and Liam's gonna go and like figure out information and then like totally like spurt it out. I don't know.
Ooh.
Could be totally. That's my prediction for next season.
I love that. Oh my God.
into it.
Fern, any other predictions?
I don't know. I'm just, like you were saying earlier, I'm so happy that we're getting to the end knowing that there's going to be a season 4.
Oh my gosh.
Thank you, Lionsgate. Thank you, Mark Swan. Thank you, E.
Thank you, everybody, for making
we
this
have
show.
the best fans. You are the best lead host.
Yeah.
Thank
You really
you.
are. Your notes
really-
are perfect.
I try.
Right on. Every time.
on.
Well, you guys are so sweet. We have to wrap up because we're out of time. Boo. We're so excited that you all joined us all season. Mark Schwann says probably November, season 4 will premiere, so we have that to look forward to. Gosh, any last words?
I love you guys. You're the best listeners.
Thank you so
You're
much.
awesome.
We love you guys. I seriously, like, I love you. Like, talking with you guys every week.
I
This
know.
is seriously one of my favorite shows on television, so it just makes me so excited to be able to talk
Yes.
about it.
That's why we're all here, right?
Yes,
Love your
yes.
enthusiasm.
So I just love it all, and I love
Yeah.
you guys. Thank you guys so much for
Oh,
listening.
yeah. And keep with us, keep up with us on social media because we'd love to talk with you between now and November. Where can we
Yes.
find you online, Ally?
You can find me on Twitter at Ally Nasta and on Instagram at Ally Girl. And if you guys are interested in any other shows, I also do Beyond at 10 p.m. And then on Thursdays, I am going to start doing Sun Records at 11 o'clock. So make sure you tune into that.
This is Fern Ronay. You can find me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Snapchat at Fern Ronay, Ronay, and my website, fernronay.com.
And guys, this is Megan Stecher. You can keep up with me on Snapchat, Instagram, and Twitter. It's all at Megan Stecher. And I do the Vanderpump Rules after show here. If you guys are fans of that show, you should check out that after show. Gosh, what other shows can we recommend?
There's so many.
There's
so
many.
I mean, it's not The Royals, but there's The Crown, isn't there?
Yes,
So-
check out The Crown if you are a fan of royalty and all this crazy lifestyles of the rich and the famous. Guys, thank you so much for joining us for season 3, and we'll see you for the Royals season 4 after show. Bye.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.